Hi everyone, so it's lunchtime here, well, almost 10 to 2, but the tennis was okay. I guess I'm quite surprised at how the match went, but I enjoyed listening. And what I did today, I just I bought a TV dinner and I put that in the oven, just heated it up, so I'm gonna have that for lunch. And these things that I do, they're all things that come from my childhood. They're things that I learned in Africa with my grandparents, because at lunchtime, our shop was very close to our home initially. So we could go home and eat. But then when my grandfather died, my grandmother used to have a little primer stove in the shop. So we could heat up the food in there and sit in the shop, close the shop and eat. And it was very clean. We had a sink at the back to wash up, and we had at the back a place to play in between the shop and the storerooms, and we had storerooms in there where we kept the mattresses and things like that. So all the things I learned in Africa about fumigation, spraying the place, keeping mosquito coils. They were all things that we learned in the home. And so I bring those things into Africa, and I bring them into Canada as well. I've posted my friend Anne-Marie Pauline Campbell's pictures. I shared them. She's in South Africa and she's giving retreats there. She's helping with the Jesuits. And I know her from Trinity House. That's where I met her with Father Graham Fusion. And I keep in touch with Graham. If he comes to Canada, I meet up with him. I go see him. And he's told me before, you're not the only one that goes through this in Canada. He says it's very, very hard for women here to get any kind of support, to help with prayer work, to help in the church. And they train you, but then they don't want you to come and help with that kind of thing. So he says it's very, very hard. And it's unfortunate, because then why do you bother training us? I mean, if you don't want us to help with that in the church, if you don't want us to get involved, then why bother? Because it's a waste of our lives, and it's a waste of the church's time. You know, you might as well not do it. But anyway, I persevere, I carry on, and going back to food and how food is dealt with, we've always done it by family. So even when we go out on our picnics in Zimbabwe, or we go to get together, everybody brings their own food. That's why when I go to relatives here, I take something with me. I take a bottle of wine, or I take brandy, I take, something to share for the meal. Even if they tell me, no, don't bring anything, I take something. Because it's not fair to put everything on them and to just go. They can say, oh yeah, we've got plenty, but I'm also eating from what they are providing. So that's how we do it. And when we used to go on our picnics, we used to take our fold-out chairs, our little picnic tables. We had a nice cooler box. We used to fill it with ice and then keep the cool drinks in there. And again, all these things are things that my grandparents taught us. They passed it on to my mother, and then my mother passed it on to us. So that's how we do it in Africa, in the Indian communities and in the Goan communities. And we used to go, every once in a while we'd go to the river. There were a few families in Kwekwe, so the Goans would go. Sometimes the Hindus and the Muslims would join us. But mostly it was just us. And that's why we were always with my cousins. That's how you learn about Catholic faith in the home. That's how you learn about sharing. That's how you learn about hospitality. And that's how you learn about, even if you go and stay with people, you go and you stay with one family. When I went home to Zimbabwe, I stayed with our neighbors, the Harrys. And I didn't move from there. I didn't go and say, or I'm spending 2 days here, 3 days there, 4 days somewhere else. I stayed with them until I went to Bulawayo, to Stella. And that's how we do it. We don't move around. So that scripture application is very practical. When I went to South Africa, I stayed with my friends in South Africa. Now there I did move because my friends didn't want me to not come and stay with them. So I spent some time with my friend Maria Bowes. Then I spent time with Jay and Colleen. I spent time with Gerard D'Souza. So in that way, I'm very blessed. I'm very fortunate because everybody wanted me to come stay with them. And I said, I can't. I have to spend time with Jay and Colleen because I made the arrangements with them and my friend Maria. And that's how I did it. But it just shows you how the scripture is applied practically. And I didn't take advantage of them. They took me out. I also contributed. I took them out. I paid for petrol when we were traveling. If I used their phones, I paid for the phone while I was, I gave them some money towards it. Because things are hard for people in Africa, just like things are hard for us here. And that was my first trip home. I came here in 2002. I never ever earned enough to take a holiday. So that was my first trip that I went to see my friends after so long. I think it was 2017. So it's a long time ago. That's why I'm saying the financial piece is important for me as a spiritual director. And I want things to fall in place for me because it's not fair to me to keep me here. I can't travel. I don't get any work in the church. I can't do anything. So I'm praying that I get that right break and that right opportunity. But that's just to show you how hospitality works, what we do in our communities, how we break bread. And even here, this is my community now. Father Larry is very, very good. He always has nice parties for us. He gives a party to say thank you to the volunteers. He gives us a gift. So that makes people feel appreciated. And in turn, we give gifts to Father Larry. Or if it's Good Friday, I'll take hot cross buns to the church. I also take care of them. And that's the way that it should be. So I just wanted to share that. I'm going to have my lunch now. And then maybe I'll go for a walk because it's a nice day today.